No.
Yeah.
Oh, welcome,
Hello.
human, into another episode of Pen is Envy.
Woo!
Your favorite people of all time.
Don't say
Carter,
that.
Ursula,
Yeah.
Abby, and Faith.
Woo.
Today, our discussion, as you know, is rooted in postmodernism. We watched a film this week. Abby, you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, this week we watched the film Exit Through the Gift Shop by Banksy, the street artist, and it follows sort of the story of this French guy named Terry as he intertwines his life in the lives of very prominent street artists in the early 2000s and his journey into becoming an artist himself.
Yeah. Okay, so
That man
today,
is so funny.
in this video, we're going to be discussing how this film relates to postmodernism, how it is a postmodernist film, and also we're going to be talking about clear clothing and how that is also an example of postmodernism. Woo!
Up, and I think we'll close it off with a little. We'll brainstorm and figure out together a bite-sized, accessible definition of postmodernism.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's interesting because I think a lot of people
Oh, it's
associate.
interesting.
Oh my goodness, you
We're
got
at
me.
one.
You got
The
me.
Right.
interesting
Okay.
count.
I think
What's
interesting.
interesting?
Nothing's interesting. I think it's mentally stimulating that the idea of postmodernity is kind of, for a lot of people, it's rooted in like a specific time period, like maybe the 90s. Like this movie was directed in the 2010s, but I think a lot of the clips from it happened in the early 2000s, maybe the 90s. And that's what a lot of people associate with postmodernity and the spread of the like this movement through social media. But I think postmodernity kind of transcends an era. It's more about like this statement presented by the art itself, and it's kind of like almost cultural critique in the way that it's like sort of ridiculous, but also like it's very artistic and it has like a very clear statement that's almost like an antithesis to what it's supposed to represent.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like an inherent part of postmodernism is that it has to be kind of, like you said, ridiculous. Like, I don't think it can be postmodern if it, like, isn't, like, entertaining and kind of silly. Like, I feel like that's kind of part of, like, postmodern. Like, it just, like, is part of it, you know? Like, I don't think you can separate it at all.
Like postmodern art is very much aware of itself, and it's almost making fun of itself.
What is it though? Because you know how in class we were talking about, I was like, Hugh, could you give us the names of whatever? And he's like, I don't know what these artists would call themselves. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, so you have like a conversation about camp and stuff, like in sense of like we're labeling these things camp, and then whether these people want to be camp, if these people are intending to be postmodern. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a pretty large overlap between postmodernity and intentional camp, just because of like the whole idea of like playing on the seriousness, because art, like you can make it serious, like that's the whole movement of modernism, like it's a statement, but then postmodernity is a statement in its like statement against itself. Did that make any sense? Because it's like it's super meta in the way that it's like it's just something up for interpretation, but also like it's not what you would expect to see in an art gallery.
Yeah.
It's like silly but also serious.
To bring this to Terry, so obviously
Love
we saw
him.
at first. I thought the movie took a lot of turns for me. One of them, like, we're just like, oh, this cute guy Terry's just filming. He's sweet, but then he like is able through his connections with Banksy, and because he's authentic and genuine, they're like, okay, let's help this guy out. He creates this art gallery that gets hype from, what was it, LA Weekly, and then it blows up. And
Yeah.
like thousands, probably. Well, I don't know. Probably over time, thousands of people visited it. because it ended up staying open for a couple months. But
Mhm.
we're watching it and we're like, this art kind of sucks.
He was just like
And
making shit up at random.
right, and
It's
it kind of, I
yeah.
feel weird saying that because it's like, who am I to say what is good art and what is bad art, what is authentic art, what is whatever? But it just felt like I was like, I could do that. Like, why did he make so much money off of this stuff? But I feel like I wouldn't want to do this stuff because it's like it feels like a gimme. Like it's like it's not really like
Yeah.
really Mr. Brainwash. Like what?
He's the one who's being brainwashed, not us. Or maybe it's the people he's
brainwashing
selling his
himself.
art to.
Oh,
Because I feel like that is part of it, is that it like, I don't know how intentional Terry was in like wanting to just like make a bunch of art to sell. I don't think that that was his end goal. I don't think that he was unhappy about the fact that he was making like $12,000 a piece. But I feel like a part of, because like there was that one section where they were talking to like a couple, or like there was like the one woman who was she was a collector, and she was saying how like she had all of these pieces from all these like great artists, and then she was like, oh, I don't really like this one, I don't really care for this.
didn't she say something about Keith Haring?
Yeah, she said that she had a Keith Haring piece, but she doesn't really
She didn't like it.
Keith Haring, and so she didn't really like the piece. So
She just
I
had
took
it
that
for the
very
sake of
personally.
having it.
I love
yeah,
Keith
because
Haring.
like it's part of like your role as a collector is that you have to have all of these. If you don't have these named artists, then clearly you aren't a great collector, because why are you missing out? Like, it's not about your personal interest, it's about like what's expected of you as a person. And so I feel like he sort of played on that with his like advertisement, especially with Banksy, because it's Banksy, everyone knows Banksy and like wants his art. And so if this guy's like, oh, I know this Terry guy, even it wasn't like a positive review, but
like,
it was
phenomenal,
mean.
and I don't mean that in a good way.
But because his name was on it, then Terry blew up, and so everyone needed a piece of this art because, oh, it's the guy that Banksy knows,
Also,
And
like,
And I like think by doing that, Terry almost like he's Mr. Brainwash, but he like brainwashed himself into thinking he was a real artist and that he was like on the same level as Shepard and Banksy. And like art is subjective, so yes, he is a real artist, but he like brainwashed himself into thinking he was sort of doing more than what he actually was.
But I'm curious though.
Mr.
Like,
Brainwash
there's a
is
theory.
very campy.
There's a theory that Terry Guetta is like a character because Banksy directed this movie, and the way that the whole thing was framed, it was obviously like Banksy is a real artist. Banksy is awesome, and if Banksy is like creating this content, it's like framing Mr. Brainwash in a very certain light. And yes, Mr. Brainwash is like, I mean, even the name Mr. Brainwash and the exhibit and the fact that he seemed like he didn't really fucking know what he was doing. Like, he was like, okay, everyone do like, I'm gonna hang up things, and then there are people waiting outside and they still hadn't done things, like hanging things, and it's just like.
And like when you look at the art, it's just like you copied Banksy and Andy Warhol and like a lot of modern artists. You definitely did that.
Right, and so like I'm curious is like, was Terry like, at the beginning I was like, oh, this guy is so cute, but then I just feel like he became this character. And I guess our discussion is more rooted in we're looking at that being postmodern if Terry was genuine and real.
I feel like he is like very genuine in the way that like Naive Camp is genuine, because like remember that movie he made, like Life Remote Control? Like that was absolutely terrible.
Really
I feel like if I watched it, I would enjoy it as like the same way like you'd enjoy something that's like scathing and you're like, why did a person like create this? Like you're thinking of the motives behind it. But I feel like it's not even postmodernism because you're not even like saying something. It's just like all these clips like put together
with special effects, and they're like special effects down.
Like someone's like literally Banksy was like, it's somebody clicking through a channel like a remote control, they don't stop, and it's like all the thousands of film reels that that Terry took So I feel like I want to say that like Banksy is the most postmodern because he's really like playing on himself and he's playing on this idea of like street art and like the way the streets are supposed to look because he's basically just changing urban design as we know it, but not
Mm,
really taking himself seriously or taking like design seriously. Like he put a bent telephone box. That was Banksy, right? The bent
Yeah.
yeah.
telephone
But
box.
I feel like he is taking himself seriously though.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree. I feel like maybe at one point he was, but I feel like not to be like, oh, when the artist gets big, the art is bad. You know, like that's not what I mean. But
That is what you're
I
saying.
feel like he kind of like maybe not at the point when this film was made because it was made in what, like 2010
10, I think.
ish.
Mhm.
But like I don't know, Banksy is like he was a huge name then, but like he's only gotten bigger and like
Mhm.
I don't know, cause like he just like I don't know. I don't really know what I mean, but I don't think I agree that he's postmodern
Yeah.
now.
I
I feel like
feel
at
like
one point he was, but I don't think he is anymore. If that makes
what
sense.
I was saying was that is not that he isn't taking himself seriously, but he isn't taking the world seriously the way that like modernism does.
Mm,
Like
I
he
see.
put like a paradise on the side of the West Wall in a literal war zone. And he put
Oh
like Guantanamo
Mhm.
Bay prisoners in Disneyland.
Okay.
All
yeah, okay.
crazy.
Yeah, then I
I see your
agree.
point. Yeah. That makes sense. That was
That
like
was so cool. I thought that was awesome.
I
I know,
know.
but then the fact that he like left Terry,
I
a
know. He was like,
non-white
oh,
passing man, like, you know, he was just like, I gotta go, I gotta save my identity. But like, he's
I'm
the
gonna go
one
on
who
a
actually
ride
did it and
now.
should have been facing the consequences. But instead, it was framed as, ooh, Terry had a badass moment where he slipped the film into his sock. But the reality of that situation is like, he left this man to be in unsafe hands to be interrogated.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Disney, that wouldn't have gone
Anyways,
well.
is a genuine person, not just this character that Banksy played up. I I think so. Like his art, what he's doing, like
Yeah.
he feels like it's like well, it's interesting because it oh, it's interesting. It
Oh,
brings up the conversation of intentional versus unintentional because you know, like the examples that we're looking at, like the allergic reaction car, like what was the intentions of that? Do you know what I mean? Like
what if I took a car
was the artist
and
being serious?
blew it up a little bit?
I feel like
What
that's
would
just like
happen?
it's like an art piece.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
not
it's
something
a
to drive around. It's just something to look at.
exactly no and what I'm saying is the artist was not like, oh, this is very serious art. But does Terry feel that way? My
I
art
don't
is
know.
serious and this is
Like
real, making a
I feel
statement.
like postmodernity makes a statement on how we view art and then modernity makes a statement on how we view culture.
Mm,
Mm.
interesting. I feel like they're
Interesting.
in.
Y'all are
I feel
Sorry.
like
you guys
I
say
think
interesting too much. You're bringing up the interesting count.
I haven't said it yet
You
they're
just
today.
said
I
it.
think they're in. Oh shit! I think they're inter. I don't know if they can be separated, like in terms of art and culture.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
Like they're just so. Um, you know how we were talking about, not today, but about how art is creating change. You know what I mean? And art
Yeah.
is kind of resembling or representing the culture at the time. Like I feel like they can't be separated in the sense of like what you're saying. What was it? The modernism with
Modernism is like a critique on culture and postmodernism is a critique on how we view art. But that's like but also like they're
isn't
very
how we view art
intertwined.
part of culture? Like
Yeah, but
culture.
it's like more aware, like more self-aware.
I
I
see.
think that's fair, but I think I also see like where Carter's coming from because I feel like art is always going to be a reflection of the culture that like shaped the
Hmm.
person who's creating it. Like I don't think you can entirely separate the two. And like I don't think that's what you're saying, Ursula, but also I think that like even if some art is more like direct about the influence of
Mm.
culture, like it's always there, even if it isn't acknowledged.
Yeah. I see
The,
definitely.
the way that like art develops is like because of culture and vice versa. Like our understanding of art now, and we're looking at the hyper realistic paintings of photographs, like for what? Like to show off skill, like what is that?
Yeah.
What is that piece really doing? Why not just take a photograph?
Also, like, it would have been kind of like a bad photograph.
Yeah, no, but
Like, that's the thing.
I imagine that's part of it, though.
Yeah. Like, that's
Not
what
just taking any photograph, but a
Like a
mediocre
bad
one.
photograph.
Mhm.
Yeah.
that's what I kind of think. Like, postmodernity has like a tickle of cynicism to it. Like,
A tickle.
a tickle.
I like that word. A tickle.
Me too. But like, it's kind of like, oh, I'm doing this because I can, and because art is kind of tapped out at this point, because like all art is the same under capitalist society hellscape.
I think
Um,
that like attitude is very prevalent in our generation because I think all of us are pretty like nihilistic in
Yeah.
a way where we're just kind of like, all right, it is what it
It's
is.
because of the capital.
Might as well not take
we
anything
live in.
seriously.
Capitalism.
So we are
Capitalism.
like a postmodern generation in and of itself.
Mm.
Hmm.
I feel like this is kind of coming from liberal arts kids, though.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
okay.
we're
Kind of
true.
We
Is
are
it
in a bubble.
postmodern that we are saying that we're postmodern?
But the thing is, like, what are the
No.
implications of some students at a small liberal arts school in Massachusetts? What are the implications of us sitting here talking about, art and culture and like what?
I think that's
Honest-
definitely a fair point. But also, look at the four of us who are here. Like compared to other like small liberal arts kids.
Are you talking about like
No
our skin
offense to like,
tones and our
yeah, I just like the whole.
gender
No offense to the
diversity?
like other white kids and straight kids and cis kids, but
That is true.
comparatively,
There is some. You're saying that it isn't. We're not being completely ignorant.
yeah, we
kind of,
definitely like are coming from a place of privilege. in
and that's
that.
the best we can
like-
do. Like we all, the only thing we can really know is ourselves and our own lives and our own lives experiences. So it's like we're not going out and trying to impose this thinking on anyone. We're just we're just a couple of kids.
We're just a couple of guys. We're just a couple kids.
Guys
Couple of
being
kiddos.
making a video for
We're just guys being
whatever.
Yeah,
And,
just
like-
dudes being bros,
We have talked about this in past videos. I think it was the Seth Rogen one. But art does come from a place of privilege, like totally. And like
Yes.
we're definitely holding that. But also like with postmodernism, you need like you need time to develop that like critical thinking and all the resources you need to make like a bent in half telephone booth.
But to explore yourself artistically and all these things, like you need to have your needs being met. Like you
You
need
have
to
the
not
time.
be worrying about your food, your water, your shelter, like that kind of. You need to feel safe. I don't know.
And you would not be buying clear pants. I kind of want to pull up a picture.
Okay,
Yeah,
They're
let's
really
do
weird
that.
looking.
Nice screen share.
Wait,
It's
I need to
clear
search
clothing.
it. I was not prepared.
Okay.
You're not ready.
If
So
you want me
while
to, I can
Ursula-
just
Yeah.
insert the picture
Oh,
We can
when I
fill in
like
the
edit
space.
it.
that would be
I
great.
can do that.
Okay. Cool.
I also
Okay.
just want to like
Yeah.
look at them. They're so weird. Oh no,
So,
clear underwear. That's cursed.
no.
But like, what is it? Is it made out of plastic? Like,
Yeah, like
Mhm.
saran wrap, but baggy because like baggy jeans are like the fashion now. Like
what?
mm,
Wait, but clear. Wait, what?
I think
I
if you
kinda want
Googled
a
any
pair.
piece of clothing and then
I
just
want a
put
pair.
clear, you would find it.
A pair of something.
When I was a kid, I had a pair of clear Converse.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Absolute
I found them at a
icon in
thrift shop.
Hickville.
wait, that's kind of badass.
Don't come at me. In Hickville, there was a pair of clear
Sorry.
Converse at
anytime
a
you
thrift
talk
shop, and I
about-
had them.
Anytime you talk about your life in California, I'm like, in Hickville? Yeah, in Hickville, okay.
I don't believe that happened. Not in Hickville.
Not in
Oh,
Hickville. You
wow.
have
In
clear
Hickville.
shoes in Hickville?
Maybe
Abby's
clear
the pinnacle
cowboy
of
boots.
fashion.
Try that.
Yeehaw.
Nice.
No. Carter, in Hickville, I was the
Were you the
token
shit?
emo kid.
Were you? No, because you
Yeah,
said
you were.
in the chat, you were like, I brought Doc Martens to my Hick High School.
I did. I thought I was too good for all those Hicks, so I started wearing Doc Martens, and then everybody started wearing
Doc Martens are so expensive.
But then when he was talking about how like Doc
Are they
Martens
really that
like,
good?
were
Are they worth
the
the hype?
I have a
hits of
pair right
Britain.
here.
I've had mine
Right,
for
'cause-
5 years, and they're so worth it.
They're worth it. You think?
Sponsored.
Mhm.
I want to
Yeah,
be.
not sponsored, but it could be sponsored.
I want purple.
Not sponsored.
I want
but I love
purple Doc
mine.
Martens. I want like bright purple
I have a
ones.
pair of purple Timberlands because my aunt used to work for their
That's cool.
parent company.
No way.
Yeah.
They're in my
Think of
closet.
Clear clothing, clear shoes.
Yeah.
It's
Get
like
back on track.
artistic. It's like artistic.
It defeats the purpose of
It defeats
pants.
the
Yes.
purpose.
Yeah.
Exactly.
defeats
The
but all
purpose
of-
of clothing is to cover
clothing,
you.
like a lot of
But
Anthony
this
Sharon,
clothing
a lot
is not
of,
covering you. It's
in the
showing
hallway.
your
A lot
skin.
of things about fashion though is like, is it how many things in the fashion industry, like we were looking at fecal matter fashion, is about practicality, about function.
That is not fecal matter fashion. That is a group. It's a duo who is called fecal matter. Just to clarify.
No, but I'm saying like we're talking
Fecal
about
matter.
like, oh, it's not functional anymore, but it's like how many, like in the fashion world, functionality is not in the picture.
That's
It's
true.
about, it's about like, well, I guess it's in the picture in the sense that people like us look at it and we're like, yeah, that's cool, but
Do we though?
Yeah, and it's also like there's a whole like idea of like performance with fashion and like social performance and like professional. Is it professionalism or professionality? I don't even know.
Professionalism.
Professionalism.
there-
And like
is
like modern
professionality or-
fashion would be like black jeans and like a slick jacket or something like that. And then this is just like postmodern because it's like it's
what
so
the fuck? Is that why?
looking.
You look at it and you're like,
Yeah.
actually,
do-
what the fuck?
I do kind of wonder because when you like layer clear things over each other and it gets like it stops being clear. I do
Mhm.
wonder if you
Okay.
wore a whole outfit of clear clothing because I know they make their underwear, they make their pants,
Oh.
I'm sure they make their bras.
Clear
What
jackets.
like if you had enough layers of clear clothing, would it stop being clear and would it just start being
Where can I
like,
get some clear?
uncomfortable plastic
I like-
clothing?
Yeah, so this
I
is our
want some.
experiment. We're gonna go to a thrift store and find clear clothing, and we're just gonna layer it and see how many layers it takes for it to not be clear.
It's like
Or
that
you could just
100
wear
shirt
enough for
challenge.
you.
Or you could just wear a garbage bag.
Garbage bin.
But
Like,
garbage
wait.
bags aren't clear.
Yeah, what?
Find
Yeah,
a clear
yeah,
one.
The clear garbage bags, they sell them.
And also like you'd move around and it would be crinkle crinkle.
I like unironically want clear clothes now.
Me too.
I think you
actually.
should get them.
Postmodern?
We should bring back the clear Converse.
No, I
will
don't want
not
people
partake
seeing
in
my
it.
feet
I'll
and
get-
socks.
Shut me down.
Yes,
I
I'll
can
get clear
roll-
boots.
I can
I feel
roll
like
with
I
like
can't
a
do that
clear
because
backpack.
my girlfriend from high school, who I'm not with anymore, did that first. So I don't know if I could do that.
I could go for those shoes that are like platforms, and the platforms are clear, and so you can put things in them. I could
Oh,
do that.
yeah.
Those I really
I
like.
saw
Those. They're
someone
really
walking
cool.
around with those yesterday. I saw
Nice.
someone wearing big chunky boots, and they had clear heels with goldfish in them.
Wait,
Yeah,
They're
hold on,
so
let me
cool.
find-
Wait, like
I need to
actual living
show-
fish?
No. I think they were like
No,
fake,
no.
but they were so
Goldfish,
cool.
the food. Oh my
They would
god.
not be okay because when you're walking around,
Yeah.
That person
Fish.
started running.
Oh no. Yes.
Anyways.
I need to find. So I went to an antique shop in
Mhm.
Meg's Hickville town, and I found these shoes. They're disco. They're called disco platforms.
Mhm.
Oh my god.
Whoa! Did you not get them?
Why
I
did
mean,
you not buy those?
They're like $150,
Wait, what's on
Oh,
the
okay.
inside?
and not my size. I don't think.
What size were they? I don't have that much money to spend, but what size were
Kinda
they
cool,
also?
though, right? Is this
If they were
postmodern?
7.5, I might think about it.
I feel like it would be so cool to paint those with like glow in the dark paint and then go to
Yeah. Oh god.
ball or. Anyways, I want clear shoes. Where can I get some?
So I don't know if we
we'll
like
just have to
made
search.
Oh, we need a definition of postmodern.
yeah.
Oh.
Well, okay. So let's start brainstorming together.
I feel like it's art that critiques art. Like it's just the cynical take on like
But is
art
it?
and culture and like just making fun of it kind of, but also
I don't know
trying
if I
to
agree with that though.
Okay. What do you
Because think
think
about
then?
so the allergic reaction car, right? Is that when I think of that,
What's that
I
critiquing?
don't imagine the person making it being like I'm making fun of art and I'm making fun of
Actually,
where art has become. You know what I mean?
I think
But it's so cleverly stupid.
no,
That
because
is
I just
As you
asked what's
put
that critiquing. I do think that that is critiquing like the when like there's usually men, not to just say that it's men, but usually men when they have all their cars that like, oh, I don't actually drive this, I just have it to look at and to be
Mhm.
pretty and to keep clean and like obsess over, which like have your interests. But I feel like this could be a good criticism of that because
Yeah,
these are
and
also
so-
cars that aren't meant to be driven
right,
and are just
and
meant
that
to look at.
definition works then. Like art
Yeah.
that's supposed to critique art.
And like car
Or just, like,
culture is like
yeah.
this weird like linear mechanical like oh I'm so strong and I wanted to say the word musty but that is not the right word. But no, it's
Right.
just like this whole like masculine persona of having all these
Right.
like cars that are super fast and aerodynamic, and then you come up with like a sculpture of a car that looks like it got stung by an entire beehive.
Mhm.
Like that's not a car, that's like a work of art, but it's kind of making fun of
Right.
that in a way.
Yeah,
But
I
so
just
You could drive
though,
that and be aerodynamic.
imagine there's someone outside of MCA, outside of never heard of the concept postmodern. If we were to tell them art that criticized art, like where would their mind go, and then how would we
I
further
don't think that it's
specify it?
just
You know what I mean?
criticizing art. I feel like it's criticizing like
Culture or
yeah,
Like modern culture
yeah.
too.
And just
like-
I
certain
also
like sociological concepts as well. Like
mhm.
as Ursula was saying, the masculinity of car culture.
yeah.
like
Right.
these pants, they're critiquing the wait, that was an
It's like the
unfinished
fashion
thought.
industry kind of.
The
Because
Because the
fashion
fashion
shirt-
industry. I mean, but the thing is, a lot of these pants and clothing in general do come directly from the fashion industry. But I could definitely interpret them as a criticism of like you talked about how a lot of fashion is like kind of inherently unwearable and it's not like useful for day-to-day life. Like
Right.
I feel like this is the same, and it's sort of it could be used as a criticism of that.
Yeah, it's like the pants that are ripped jeans, but only the holes.
Yeah.
Faith, can we see your shirt?
Oh, sure. I have an Eat More Kale shirt on. The Eat More Kale guy, Ursula would know,
Yeah,
is
I'm not in
like
person.
a Vermont guy.
He's just cool.
Oh, you've never seen him in person? He's pretty cool.
I
Um,
might have seen
wait,
him at
you
like
know
a
him?
farmer's
Wait, what?
market.
I don't like know him, but I'm from Montpelier, Vermont, and so he is also like there, and so he will sell a bunch of Eat More Kale merch, and then in like the fall he sells donut holes and like mini donuts.
They're called munchkins.
Are they kale donuts?
No, they're apple
Nothing like
cider
a good
donuts.
kale
They're
donut.
so good because he has his little like cart and he like makes
No,
them
but
there
that's
like
how
they'll
you
be
just call
hot
them
and they're
donut
so
holes.
good. They're like like mini donuts. They're like this big.
Yeah.
Munchkins.
No, munchkins are just the Dunkin' Donuts donut holes, mini donuts.
So what is a donut hole?
It's
it
The
a
donut
munchkin?
hole is
Part
the
of the
inside.
donut that they take out and then make into a separate piece
He
of
sells sometimes donut holes.
Wait,
which are
I didn't know
the
that.
middle.
They
Yeah, the
fit
donut hole is a
perfectly.
middle, which is a circle.
Yes, but
Which
then
is a
also,
munchkin.
sure, but
I'm
but those are the
confused.
specific branded version of a donut.
Oh,
But
It's
then
like
also usually
Jell-O.
he sells just small donuts that are like this big, like a bite.
So they're this
Oh.
big, and then there's a hole in the middle.
Yeah, like
Like
this big,
tiny
and that's the hole in the
donuts.
middle, like a small donut,
That's so
apple
cute.
cider donut, and they're so good. If you ever go to Montpelier and you see the cart, you should get some.
We're gonna road trip up to your hometown.
We can, yeah, it'll be fun. Ursula,
It's-
I'll give you a ride to your house.
Yeah.
Abby,
A ride to my
you
house.
you could document it and make a movie about our road trip to get mini donuts.
Yeah,
Definitely. Mhm.
It's true.
Okay, I also just pulled up the actual definition of postmodernism. Do we want to read it out and see
Yeah.
how it
Yeah.
relates? Okay. I'm
Yeah.
gonna clear my throat. 1 second.
You're like, excuse
Okay.
me a moment.
That's basically what happened. So the
That's what I did
dictionary,
like 2 seconds ago.
I saw that. The
Aw.
Oxford Language Dictionary defines postmodernism as a late 20th century style and concept in the arts, architecture, and criticism that represents a departure from modernism and has at its heart a general distrust of grand theories and ideologies, as well as a problematical relationship with any notion of art.
I
Mm.
think we hit
I
it.
think-
Arts
I think we kind of hit it right on
We
the head.
nailed it, but also that is so vague. Like,
It's
what?
very vague. I think that not to be, not to think that we're really great, but I think our definition might have been better.
Yeah.
Sorry, Oxford Language Dictionary.
Also, like,
know.
I feel like it's not something that can be described in words. Like, you just gotta like scribble or just make
Right.
something really stupid. Like, listen to 100 gex.
Listen to
So-
100
No, but
gags.
it's really
Like,
interesting.
Think about the
Right.
ontology of 100 gex, and
Think
that's
about that.
postmodernism.
Think about
language,
that.
like we look at that, like I feel like we've been growing up thinking like if you really want to know the definition of a word, you look up in the dictionary, Merriam-Webster, whatever the big names, but it's like the dictionary doesn't account for how it's really used. You know what I mean? We're like, yes,
Mhm.
this is dictionary definition, whatever, but it's like this. I don't know.
Don't
think
trust
it's-
the dictionary. Don't
like-
trust Google.
Right, Silicon Valley. But as we get, I think, as our society progresses and where we are right now with the power of the internet and slang and stuff, I just feel like it's an interesting conversation of like the definition of words, because it's like, how do you really explain meme culture and words like the words that I'm trying to think of one, like words that
It's
we
just
use
like
that would they be in the
Unspoken trends, you know?
Yeah. I think
But like for
I
some reason
wanna-
we all know what they mean. But it's also up for interpretation.
Yeah,
Like it means
vibes.
It's like, but the reason we know what they
the
mean,
vibes are
we
different for
see them-
everyone.
Exactly, we use them in
True.
different
Mhm.
contexts on the internet.
Oh,
There's
this
so
is
many
like-
different pockets of the internet. It's probably being
Mhm.
used in different ways.
I was talking to Ursula and Abby about this like last week or
Oh
something.
my god.
About yeah, sorry you weren't
Sorry,
there.
Connor.
You can come next time. And I was just saying how like colors are very, not to use the word
What?
interesting, intriguing.
Intriguing.
Because
Oh, yeah.
like the way that you see color, you don't know if it's the same as anyone else.
Right, like
ever.
my red could be your green kind of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Also, like the way
Yes and
people
no.
listen to music is all different. Like some people really pay attention to like the layers or like the bass track, and other people pay attention to
Yeah,
the
I'm
melody,
always listening to the drums.
the word.
I mean,
I'm always
trying
listening to the
listen them
bass
all.
line. Like,
Me
But,
too.
like,
I'm
As a
with Ursula.
percussionist, like I'm just attracted to the.
yeah, it's like what you're the most familiar with.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We
So
have
we're
less
listening to
than
the
a
same
minute.
song, but we're experiencing it so differently.
Mhm.
That's
It's why
so
Yeah.
people like.
okay.
You cut out, Ursula.
Oh, I was just saying it's why people like different types of music. But we're gonna have to end this video because
Wait,
gonna
should we
kick
have
us
an outro?
Yes.
an outro. Should I do another video or should we just like wing it? Like
Was that
pen.
30?
I think this is an outro.
I
This
think-
is okay. Well said, Ursula.
Thanks for joining us.
This isn't our
Bye,
outro, though.
next
We do this at the
time.
beginning.
We can do
It's
it
Like
both
also-
a
times.
sandwich.
Guys,
A
it's
pen-
Both.
We need to get like really good at this at the end of the semester.
Yeah.
Mine is kind of trash.
Mine
Okay.
is really bad.
All right.
Thanks for having us,
Thanks,
Hugh.
folks. Thanks,
Bye,
Hugh, man.
friends.
See you next time.
Next week.
All right. You want to start the recording?
Bye.